Ready? I'd like to welcome everybody to the Delaware County Commissioners meeting. It is Monday, November 1st, 2021. The time is 9:02. If everybody could please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Steve, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Here.
Ms. Reagan.
Present.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Bruck.
Here.
We have no public hearings today. We'll move to appointments for the Delaware County Community Corrections Board. Sherry, did you have
Yeah,
anybody?
we have an opening there due to the late Reverend Royce Mitchell. And I had a contact, but they didn't get back with me, so we'll have to table it.
You making a motion to table it then?
So move.
I'll
Yes.
second it.
Have a motion and a second to table. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we'll move to table business. We have the Airport Authority Board. Jenny, we did receive
For resignation.
resignation. All right.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Professor Scott Truax out of Ball State. I understand he's interested, and he did tell me he would serve if appointed.
Okay,
And he is of the right political party to balance us out.
all right. I've had two that have sent me things on this. One is Nora Powell and one is Mr. Truax.
I had not heard about the other one, but
John, with having two on here, since Sherry nominated one, did we just vote on that one or since we have two?
You can vote on, it's how you want to do it. You can vote on both of them. I think technically your mention of Nora Powell would be a nomination because nomination doesn't really require a second under Robert's rules. So you can vote on by saying the last name, and whoever has majority would be selected for the Airport Authority. Or you can continue to table it since Sherry just found out about Ms. Powell.
Yeah. I'm fine with that, and I can get Sherry
I'll second it.
all that.
You do it from the table first?
No, we can just leave it on the table,
Oh, okay.
and then we'll
Oh.
just
Just,
come
yeah,
back.
it's just stays on the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Then I'll send you Ms. Powell's information and stuff, Sherry. Leave that on the table. We'll move to approval of minutes for October 18th, 2021.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval of minutes. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we'll move to contracts or agreements for approval. Commissioners' meetings for 2022. Did commissioners get a chance to look at all these?
I did see this come through, and again, I'd like to move the meetings to 10 o'clock. Just seems like we always have something maybe that comes up, and people that drive in from Indianapolis, it's just a consideration. I know it's always been 9 o'clock, but
I'd like to keep it at 9,
I would too.
because I know we have, that way when we have other meetings, we can have them at 9, then schedule them for 10, and
I'll make a motion, we approve the Commissioners' meetings list for 2022.
I'll second it. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
no.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we'll move to the revised edit plan. And the reason why we're revising this edit plan is we ended up and had to pay for some phones at 911 phone system, which ended up in cost us over $1 million. We had to take some funds out at that time. All this is where we had to put the funds back in so we can continue to pay our bills that we have in here and also our bond payments.
So, which project did that come under?
Jenny, you wanna?
So, we ended up paying that out of Project 11, Building Maintenance. I transferred in from other projects to pay that large amount off last year when that invoice came through last spring. James and Brad and I met the other day, and instead of just adding monies into 2021, we just removed the 2022 dates off of that final figure for each project so that we have access to those funds now. So the project figures did not change. We just don't have to wait until January 1 to have access to the 2022 funds as it was originally stated. That doesn't make sense. I'm happy to try to clarify that a little bit more.
Yeah, if we didn't have the $1 million cost at that time, we wouldn't have to revise the plan. But with that coming in, because we also thought that we were going to end up and get reimbursed for a portion of that money, which come back, it was a federal and not a state. So the federal had to revert back to 911.
Did not come
So
to
it did
edit.
not go back into our edit plan. Then we had to, $2 million, correct, Jenny? Appropriated
Council.
to go back in here, so
But
this
you,
was so we could put when the 2 million came in, we had areas to where we could put it back in here, so we could make sure that we paid.
So again, the project amounts have not changed. We just dropped the 2022 from that final figure on each project so that we had access to those funds now instead of waiting until January. Does that make sense?
well, when I went from looking at Project 11 and Project 22, Project 22 went up 200,000 from,
That was how the original plan was set up, for that amount to be in there for 2022.
and so it just didn't get
Yeah,
caught in the,
No, it's
Number
how it was
7.
originally set up, was for there to be that much in there for 2022.
so this is our 8th update for the improvement.
Drop the year, so we have access now to those funds.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second,
A motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Reagan,
yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes. Next, we have the NDOT LPA project coordination contract. Angie?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is for Bridge 112. It's a bridge replacement project on County Road 600 South at Williams Creek between Honey Creek and County Road 300 West, Salem Township. This is just, NDOT has programmed 80% of the federal funds towards engineering services. So they have allocated $179,904.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second,
A motion and a second for approval. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, we have Vest Subdivision, Ashton Land Surveyor.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Van Ice. I'm from Ashton Land Surveyor. We're here to dedicate a little piece of County Road 400 East along the west side of our parcel. This is north of McGalliard, and what they're doing is we're going to do a one-lot administrative plat for the Vest subdivision, and this is the road dedication.
I move we adopt.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, we have Meadowforge Solar Project Economic Development Agreement. John, you looked this over.
I have. I've worked with Joe and I've worked with Brad Bookout on this. We've been negotiating with the developer on this particular contract. It was a good negotiation. I think it's a fair agreement for both sides.
I make a motion, we approve the agreement.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we have codification proposal, code of ordinance, and online code.
This is a proposal that I went out to American Legal Publishing to codify our ordinances. I think the last time was done back in 2009 or 10 or something like that, maybe even 11. We've adopted a lot of ordinances since then. There have been some zoning changes that need to be put into the codification. I've used American Legal Publishing for some of my other municipalities. They do a great job. They put it together electronically so that we can put it on the web really easily, and also a hard copy. For all the amount of work that has to be done, I think this is a pretty fair proposal.
Did they give you a timeline?
No, they don't really give me a timeline because it's all dependent upon how quickly they get into information, how the information gets back to me so that I can review it. It usually takes about 90 days or so when it all gets said and done. There's a lot of stuff that Denise will be very busy gathering up to send to them, and then they look at it and see what goes in, what doesn't, then they send the full codification to me to review. Make sure I see it for consistencies, and we're also going to be putting the precinct maps in today, hopefully, and so that will also go into it. So
I think it's a good idea.
Me too.
Yeah, gotta get updated.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the codification proposal.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
John, I think extra copies are like $40 once they get done.
something like that, yes.
Would you make sure the commissioner's office gets a book?
Make sure that
please?
each commissioner gets one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And the auditor's office naturally gets one,
Yeah.
and I'll get one, so.
Yeah.
Then it'll be electronic form. They'll also go on to the website.
Very good, thank you.
Next, we have Vermillion County Inmate Housing Agreement. Sheriff?
Morning, Tony Skinner, Delaware County Sheriff. Last week I sent you a agreement for housing out-of-county inmates from Vermillion County. Vermillion County is not a county that we deal with much because it's on the far west side of the state, just north of Terre Haute, but we were contacted by their sheriff and they needed some bed space, so I went ahead and approved the transport. So right now we're holding 6 of their inmates, but we need this approved so they can pay us. So it's the exact same agreement that we use with all of the other counties, just the information's changed to make it appropriate to their county.
I make a motion, we approve the agreement with Vermillion County.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. Next, we have a resolution for approval, resolution number 2021-046, resolution of Delaware County, Indiana Board of Commissioners approving an amendment to the Delaware County, Indiana State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds 2021 plan.
This is an amendment to the art plan for the county to add some administrative costs in for administration of the art plan. There's some software, I think, that Ed Carroll was looking at purchasing to help reporting along with for the auditor's office, and some administration costs. The Department of Treasury allowed up to 10% of the total amount that the county is to receive to be for administrative purposes. They added that, so we thought it was a good idea to have those administrative costs come out of the art plan as opposed to the general fund.
Absolutely.
I make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Next, we'll move to department heads and elected officials. Mr. Brook, Olive Branch Cemetery.
The Washington Township trustee contacted the commissioner's office because they'd been contacted by the Olive Branch Cemetery, which is up in the far northwestern part of the county. Matter of fact, you've got to go into Grant County to get into the Olive Branch Cemetery. It's a I think it's a church outside Matthews that's been administering this, and they want to turn this over to either the county or the township trustee. The county doesn't have a cemetery board in place to be able to do this as part of the statutes. The trustee is given that responsibility by statute. And she was wondering if the county wanted to set up a cemetery board to take this over, or whether they would. They have some money to maintain it in a trust fund that would go to either the county or the township trustee. It's kind of an elaborate process for the county to set up a 5-member cemetery board. I think I sent you a memo on all that. There is some possible tax ramifications that the cemetery board can make a request to the council to have a tax rate for maintaining cemeteries. But since you don't have any cemeteries that you're maintaining now, and there are also other requirements that have to be met. So I leave it up to the commissioners to decide whether they want to set up a cemetery board or just let the trustee take it over, and I'll work with the trustee on how to use the funds.
I think I'd rather for the trustee to,
Yeah.
Yeah, do we need that in a motion?
No, I think I get the consensus of the Board of Commissioners that they're not interested in setting up a cemetery board, which is the
Correct.
requisite necessity to do this, and that I'll notify the trustee that it's going to be her responsibility, and then I'll work with her on how to get it all put together.
okay.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you.
We'll move to Rick Spangler, order establishing precincts.
Good morning, Commissioners. I think that John has prepared an order for us to submit to the state for what we have done with re-precincting, drawing precinct lines. The Commissioners, you guys were in the meeting that saw that drawn. We didn't make any drastic changes. There was just a lot of cleaning up and trying to, where borders had been changed, where we had changed some borders, we could clean up and put some of the precincts back together and get rid of some rough edges.
I think it affected less than 100 voters, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah, very small changes, but really does help. It will help my office when we come to setting up election time and having to break those out. Once you guys approve this order, if you do, I send it to the election board. I've already sent the other paperwork that you have on your folder to the election board. So we send it to them. We advertise it in the newspaper so everybody can see what we've done. And then once the election board rules on it.
Don't you also have to send out a letter to all those voters that are affected?
Yes, we will notify anybody that anything has changed.
Okay. Basically, what it boiled down to was, in the 10 years since these precincts were adopted, Albany's had some annexation, Muncie's had some annexation, and then you had the consolidation of Yorktown and Mount Pleasant, which made it a lot easier out in Mount Pleasant. Now that they're all in one governmental entity, we could combine some of the precincts that were outliers in around the city of Muncie that could go into the Yorktown's precincts. Albany annexed on the east and west side, so we could clean up some.
Yeah, we had 3 or 4 little precincts in there that didn't touch anything they were supposed to, so
Right.
we were able to put those in with the precinct that bound, or, put them together boundary-wise.
Had a little more, some more sense.
So today, we're just changing these. How many are there? About 10 precincts that were affected, or? I have
I
a
think I didn't.
precinct 5.
Some of them we had to do 2 forms on, because in any change that I make on any one of them, I had to do a form on each of them. So it might be one change, but there's 2 forms there.
I think there's only like 5 or 6 really that affected. For example, precinct 5 is where the new Justice Center is. And that's the only thing in precinct 5 was the Justice Center. But since it was annexed in after we could combine it with the city precinct now and clean that up.
Yeah.
I think it's only
71,
like
we
5
made
or
some
6
changes
of
on 71 because it was all chopped up and
Yep.
stuck.
Yeah.
So,
So we're not voting on the districts for the
No, this is just for the
election.
no, this
precinct.
is just precinct.
This just gets this started.
Right. The precincts, according to the Election Commission, the Census Bureau released the data on August 12th. we had to wait until the legislature had adopted the state representative, state senator, and the congressional districts. I think we're even in a different congressional district, aren't we now?
Yeah.
5. And so we had to wait till those, that was done in late September, I think September 24th or 25th. And then the election commission graciously gave all the counties till October 15th to do this. And then they said, oh, well, by the way, we know you can't get it done in that time, so they gave us a little bit of leeway, and then we'll work on the districts, because the county suffered about almost 6,000 person loss according to the census. We're down below 112,000 in the county now, so all the districts for the council and for the commissioners lost people, and so we've got to check on, reconfigure those and see how they jive out now with the new census data.
If they balance out, yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the order establishing precincts.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Thank you.
Rick, I'd like to thank you and Kyle for working on this.
Thank
Getting
you. Kyle
it-
did an amazing job. We couldn't done it without him. I have to
Appreciate
give him the kudos because,
He's sitting back
looking
there
at those
so
maps
quiet.
make you cross-eyed, so.
Yeah, they do make you cross-eyed.
Next, we have Purdue Extension.
Good morning, commissioners and everybody else. I just wanted to let you all know that we have officially filled our 4-H youth development position. This is Alexis Garbo. She comes from Michigan. You'll hear more about her in the email and the quarterly reports that we'll put out, but I just wanted to introduce Alexis.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome to the county.
Thank you very much.
Any other elected official, department head? If not, all commissioners, did you receive your weights and measures monthly report?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll move to payment of claims in the amount of $2,252,974.68.
So move.
Second.
Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Okay. John, did you have anything on internet?
Let me just double check again. I didn't think so. There was a question about whether you can see the precinct maps online. Those will get posted. And then one gentleman offered to be on the cemetery board in the future if you want to do it. So
Okay,
I think that's it.
all right. And we had no one signed up to speak today, so I will entertain a motion to recess.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Thank you.
On that, or?